Hi there. This is the tarot for March 2025, and this is really, I think, a kind of a hopeful month. The cards were pretty hopeful. They always acknowledge both sides, but overall, I thought things were looking up for us. So it's late after a wild and woolly day and long day, almost no sleep, but I'm going to record this and I hope this goes well. Because it really was encouraging. It was really encouraging. So, as always, we have some interesting card insights to share this month. I kept hearing all sorts of controversy about Elon Musk and Doge. So that became my first question. And I also kept hearing a lot of people talk about March being a very difficult month. So that became another question. And then I had some curiosity about whether or not ETs and captured technology were going to be announced this year. So that was the basis of my third question. And the last question came from wondering what the animal kingdom would advise us to do for the month of March. So let's begin. So the questions are, number one, what will be the long-term results of Doge and the effort to cut waste in the US government? It's going to be good, bad, indifferent, catastrophic, what? So that was question number one. Question number two, what are the American people facing in terms of events or situations coming up? And I have more to say about that question later. Number three, if UFOs and extraterrestrials are acknowledged by the government and come out into the open, what will the people of Earth most need to know, hear, or do in order to be comfortable with that, with those ETs? And then the last question, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us in March 2025? So the cards drawn were, in answer to the first question, the Knight of Pentacles. It's kind of an amazing card for that question. Question number two was the Two of Swords. Also pretty amazing. A really important and helpful message here. This is what we're facing. What do we need to know? Events, situation. Question number three was the Six of Wands, a card of victory regarding ETs. It's like, what? Okay. And the last card from the animal kingdom was the ant. Okay, number 32 in the animal medicine deck, the little old ant. So, question number one, what will be the long-term results of Doge and the efforts to cut waste in the US government? And the card drawn here was the Knight of Pentacles. This card has so many relevant messages that I hardly know where to begin. When you look at the card, you see a knight in full battle armor with green plumes hanging from the back of his helmet. He wears gauntlets, which are a type of glove, and sits on a black horse that wears a red bridle. A saddle blanket hangs from beneath the saddle, and the knight is holding a pentacle, which is a symbol of earth and material things. The landscape in the background is freshly plowed and it's covered with horse dung, and the sky is bright yellow. So, regarding the Knight of Pentacles, among other things, many other things, this is a symbol of hauling away horse dung, of shoveling out the crap, and using it to fertilize new crops. I can't think of a more appropriate card in response to a question about Doge and its efforts. This is also the card of avoiding or ending waste. Wow. I don't know if anyone has a clear idea of what might be possible if we ended the massive waste, the fraud, the money laundering of the government, but this card encourages us to find out. The knight, any knight, a knight, just, it doesn't matter which suit of cards he appears in. A knight is a major symbol of the ideal way of dealing with the forces of life. And the Knight of Pentacles calls for us to use all of our abilities as human beings to handle the experience at hand with thoroughness and economic common sense. This card also asks the questions, what do you need? And what will be good for you when it comes to money, material goods, your talents, and your life as a physical being? Think about those questions. How would you answer them? What do you need? What would be good for you when it comes to money, material goods, your talents, and your life as a physical being? When is the last time we were asked what we needed or what we thought would be good for us? How long has it been since we have given up trying to get our government to listen to what we need or want? It's been a long time. But this card says we are not to give up, especially now. Rather, we are to recognize that this is a time of ripening, of completion. It tells us that we are close, very close, to bringing a return to order and justice. The Knight of Pentacles admits that there have been many, many steps along the way, more than we thought, many delays and diversions, and many disappointments. But this card asks us to celebrate what we've learned and the experience we've gained. It demands that we keep working steadily toward the goal, and that we don't avoid conflicts, but instead handle them. Why? Because we are capable people. The full battle armor worn by the knight is a warning against becoming encased in old beliefs that keep one a prisoner of biased and limiting convictions. However, armor also symbolizes both the readiness to handle whatever conflicts arise and a need for protection due to the lack of security in the world. The black horse symbolizes an instinctive nature that must be used intelligently. And the black color of the horse represents the garbage of the past. Wow. And it also indicates black is the color of an unknown future, which is a pretty accurate representation of where we're at right now. The fraud, the lies, the criminal activities of our government and international corporations were the garbage. And all of it was covered over with propaganda and theater that too many people believed was reality. The green plumes worn on the back of the knight's helmet symbolize the need to go back to nature, to reconnect and establish security in the world, security that doesn't require wearing a suit of armor and a constant readiness to fight. Back to nature. Armor itself represents a willingness to stand for what you believe in and work for the kind of life you want to enjoy. Something that I think personally is well worth the effort. The saddle blanket is a symbol of remaining open and warm to life, even while being willing to ride into areas where life has not been good. The blanket is also a reminder that some things may have to get wrapped up and tucked away without being shown to the world, possibly because it would do more harm than good. And the gauntlets worn by the knight, even though the gauntlets can be gloves, they symbolize a challenge. Gauntlets are a challenge that often indicate a long, trying, and tedious path ahead, and thus it requires a long-term commitment. The bridle, that black horse is wearing a bridle. A bridle is a means of managing the direction a horse is moving in. And the red bridle on the horse indicates a need to manage not only the direction we are headed, but the feelings, the passions, the angers, the will, and the conflicts caused by hauling away the garbage of the past. The red bridle reminds us to hang on to the joy of life and a vision of ourselves as the people of a good, honest, and powerful tradition. In the US, that tradition is freedom. I'm not sure what the powerful tradition of England or France, Germany, Spain, Italy, or the other countries in Europe and Asia might be, but I know that the people in each of those countries pride themselves on something special. You know, I've always thought it was international relationships in England, love and artistry in France, excellence and creativity in Germany, adventure and romance in Spain, and spirituality and music in Italy. But those are just my own perception of what each group brings to the mix on planet Earth. Anyway, that recently plowed soil or plowed landscape in the background symbolizes the turnover of the ground. A rather perfect analogy for what Doge and company are doing as they investigate the agencies and offices of the government. The fact that the recently plowed ground has a layer of dung on it symbolizes that the field of life might be smelly right now, but whatever will be planted will bear good fruit. It symbolizes a healthy outcome, however. It also warns against plowing through too quickly and causing too much destruction. That bright yellow sky, which is almost the entire background here, is a stark contrast to the black horse and the armor-clad knight. And this tells us, that contrast tells us that whatever Doge will uncover or is uncovering is a stark contrast to what some people believed, as well as what the previous administrations wanted us to think. Bright yellow is the color of consciousness and high-level intelligence. The pentacle would not be visible against the background of the sky if it were not for the outline defining its shape. And this indicates that a universe of possibilities is waiting for us to give it shape here in the material world. Since pentacles represent earth, money, truth, personal skills and talents, and goals of wealth and well-being, it's a reminder that these are some of the reasons we are here. We will know we've done a good job because the proof is in the pudding. We'll be able to taste it. We'll know it all the way through us. The Knight of Pentacles represents a steely determination and a willingness to build new structures and new worlds. Woohoo! He represents having a fit body in excellent condition and being willing to move in new directions. The Knight is known as the Lord of the wide and fertile land. And keywords for this card are action, armed men, expansion, sharply defined, achievable goals, turnover of established lands, methodical, practicality, completion, avoidance of waste, idealism, the long road, security, let go and move on, hard work, and slow course of action. So that's the Knight of Pentacles. Question number 2. What are the American people facing in terms of events or situations coming up? Now, a couple comments here. This was really not the best question to ask because it's not specific enough. But what I had in my mind as I asked it was for the cards to give some indication of what we would have to face in the next month or 2 or even 3. I kept feeling that something really big was just on the horizon, but I didn't know what to attribute that feeling to. So I was trying to get an idea. And so I was asking, what's coming at us? So anyway, I pulled a card, and that card was the 2 of Swords. And that was a complete surprise because this card has 2 basic meanings. One is peace of mind, and the other is a decision has been made. So let's look at this a little more deeply. The card shows a blindfolded woman wearing a gray dress sitting on a gray bench. She has a small patch of white on her forehead, wears yellow shoes, and the ground around her is gray. Her arms are crossed over her breast, and she holds a sword in each hand. The ends of the swords, both of them, extend beyond the edge of the card. She sits at the edge of an endless body of water, as you can see at the very left edge of the card. That water goes on and on. Although another shore can be seen behind her, there are big rocks sticking out of the water in a few places. There is a sickle moon in the sky above, and the sky is a bright blue. It's not night. The basic message of this card is one can see clearly only with the heart. A message that's backed up by the blindfold covering the eyes and the small white patch on the forehead, symbolizing that third eye and the vision possible when the mind is used rather than the physical eyes. The blindfold warns against failing to grasp an issue, being blind to some issue, and thus being unprepared for what is unfolding around you. Although the blindfold and its warning tell us to beware of the danger of delusions, it also tells us that the heart has made a decision. It tells us that what we are facing is something we have decided to face. What we are facing is something we have decided to face. Maybe we don't know what the outcome of that decision will be, but we feel we can handle it. Or maybe we feel that whatever it is, we can't go on ignoring what we see happening all around us. So the gray dress, the gray bench, and the gray ground represent having reached this point of detachment, of neutrality, and a sort of composed objectivity that carries no prejudice and is focused on getting peace of mind. The yellow shoes peeking out from under the dress represent a position in which intellectual, logical approaches are there. They're possible, but the 2 swords across the breast symbolize being ready to defend what the heart is calling for. Swords represent the weapons of the intellect, but the blindfold says no to that. And the hands crossed over the breast say there is a willingness to fight for what the heart demands. The sickle moon represents intuition and the need to listen to that intuition, while that bright blue sky represents clarity and also peace of mind. Even though there may be rocky periods or experiences coming at us, as shown by the rocks sticking out of the water. Water is the universal symbol of emotions, feelings, and intuitions. And the distant shoreline represents the ability to see the other side. Not only being able to see how to get to that peace of mind, but understanding, what's the problem? What do the people on the other side want? Or what are they asking for or expecting? So seeing the other side is also a precursor to peace of mind, and it sets the stage for being able to work out solutions in which everyone is taken care of. Everyone is satisfied. And everyone learns that the best way to reach peace is to end fear. Fear of being taken advantage of, fear of not enough, fear of being forced to live under the thumb of someone or some system that is not characterized by love, respect, justice, and wisdom. Since our question is about what we are facing in terms of situations or events, the Two of Swords tells us that we may be facing the results of our own decision. A decision that may or may not be clear to everyone, but is based on the fact that reality does not consist only of one-way streets. What goes around comes around. What goes up must come down. What we have been too blindfolded to see is now experienced as the awakening of consciousness. The actual number 2 is a feminine number of deep intuition and a tense harmony. A tense harmony. It signals that there is more than one boss, more than one who can call the shots, more than one way to run a country, more than one who can have a say in what's going to happen, a say in things unfolding around us. This card is ruled by Venus and Saturn. Venus rules money, and Saturn rules government. The Two of Swords reaches the peak of its power in September, October of the year. And it symbolizes, quote, an operation that justifies and helps the miserable and the weak against the powerful and the wicked, using justice and law, end quote. The Two of Swords is known as the Lord of Peace, and the keywords are crossroads, decision point, conflict, strategy, balance, justice, diplomacy, affection, intuition, dilemma, impasse, restoring harmony, complementary opposites, understanding others, and cooperation. So that's it for the Two of Swords. Question number 3. If UFOs and extraterrestrials are acknowledged by the government and come out into the open, what will the people of Earth most need to know, hear, or do in order to be comfortable with those ETs? And the card drawn here was another surprise, the Six of Wands. This is a card of beauty, balance, victory, and harmony. This is a card of someone or something successful that leads to the opportunity to develop ourselves further. Wow. It is a card in which everyone wins and whose basic message is full steam ahead. Together, we can go through thick and thin. Okay. When you look at the card, you see a man on a gray horse decorated with a green caparison. Caparison, Caparison. The rider wears a red cape over a yellow tunic, some brown leggings, and boots. On his head is a crown of laurels, and in his right hand, he holds a wand with a second laurel attached to it. In the background, you can see the people who make up the rank and file, holding the remaining wands as they celebrate what is seen as a very important victory, and the sky is bright blue above. The man riding the horse symbolizes success in getting various factions to join forces and work together to accomplish something that affects the ordinary people of the planet, the rank and file. The crown of laurel on his head is both a symbol of victory and of a necessary task, a task that will need to be undertaken. Okay, it's not just all done for us. Okay. The task is specific to this card, and it calls for using your abilities to direct many interests toward a common aim that helps coordinate benefits for everyone. Let me say that task again. The task is specific to this card, and it calls for using your abilities to direct many interests toward a common aim that helps coordinate benefits for everyone. This hints at the possibility of a lot of popular clamor and interest in UFOs and ETs, but with many conflicting personal desires, wishes, goals, personal agendas, etc. People often get frantic to make contact with someone or something if they think someone more powerful can help or heal them. And I think that's what this is referring to. The red cape worn over the yellow tunic indicates tremendous heart and passion, combined with intelligence, that's the yellow tunic, a cool head, and wisdom. The brown leggings point to a need to be very practical, and boots point to the possibility of a great deal of work being needed around this situation. The second laurel wreath attached to the wand of the rider, he's holding that up there quite high, symbolizes the acknowledgement that people have died in the fight to achieve this victory. It's kind of unexpected there. People have died in the fight to achieve this victory. Being held high for all to see represents a signal to the world of something that is a victory for all sides and all people. And it also indicates a very fertile situation for the higher self. Ooh. If UFOs and ETs were to be integrated into our lives, this says they would have a big impact on us and our consciousness. The group of rank and file people seen toward the back of the horse symbolize those in support of the victory. However, one or two rank and file members are kind of hidden behind the neck of the horse, and this symbolizes shadowy forces that are not out in the open, even though they're carrying the wands of celebration. Since our question is about UFOs and ETs, this would say that some people, the ordinary rank and file, are very supportive of this development. But Some are not and may need to be watched, or perhaps they just need more time to adjust. Watchfulness is needed there. The horse represents a powerful drive to move ahead, and the gray tells us to maintain a certain amount of detachment without becoming less conscious. The flowing green fabric of the horse's caparison symbolizes a situation that is very fluid and in motion. That's a big green cape that the horse is wearing. It's called a caparison. So it symbolizes something is very fluid and in motion. It says there's a lot to be learned from this victory, including great growth potential. Ooh. Understanding nature. Ooh. And the nature of reality. Another ooh. It also symbolizes a freshness in our worldview and great hope for the future. It does warn of immaturity and hidden agendas, greed or too much idealism and not enough realism. But overall, it offers healing and wisdom. The bright blue sky backs this up and calls for clarity in order to bring heaven and earth together. In summing up what the Six of Wands is saying here regarding the entry of UFOs and ETs into our lives, is that we would first have to see this as a success story and hope that the ETs also see it as something successful. The indication of the card is that it would be a situation in full motion with many impacts and a wide variety of responses that would have to be handled with some maturity. The card says point blank that this would affect our higher consciousness, and so I assume that would be positive. The Six of Wands is a card that is focused on relationships and says that this relationship would be greater than what each of us could imagine, offering individual advancement through common progress as a group. I really like that. Individual advancement through common progress as a group. It urges taking on leadership and setting worthwhile goals, then pursuing those goals with all of our heart. This is the card that coaxes the shy and the introverted out of their shells and balances the bold and the extroverted by engaging them fully in projects that are highly valuable to them and the greater population. It is a card that says everyone wins when you join forces. The number 6 itself represents union of forces, especially masculine and feminine forces, which themselves symbolize heaven and earth and stability. The Six of Wands is associated with the sun, and it's known as the Lord of Victory. Keywords for this card are harmony, cooperation, honor, balance, hanger-on, mirror, teamwork, respect, leadership, apprehension, responsibility, win-win situation, potential for growth, self-determined, sharing, transition, recognition, advancement, and innovation. So that's it for the Six of Wands. And finally, we have question number 4. What advice does the animal kingdom have for us in March? And the card drawn here was the ant, number 32 in the animal medicine deck. Now, when I first pulled this card from the deck, I was a little disappointed because I thought the ant was a rather dull kind of card or message. and would not have much to say that would be relevant. But that was not the case. Wow. The ant is a builder like beaver, is aggressive like badger, has stamina like elk, will scrutinize things like mouse, and is generous to the point of giving things away like turkey. So it's a whole mix of extraordinary energies and approaches to life. The ant is the symbol of patience in knowing the victory will come. Okay? Patience in knowing the victory will come. Ants also symbolize discipline, order, and industriousness. But the greatest of their gifts is patience. And that is the counsel that they give to us this month, patience. People with ant energies are planners with extraordinary patience and a willingness to continue working on their dreams, even if things are coming together very slowly and in a piecemeal kind of fashion. In a society in which many things must come down in order to make room for something new to be built, the disintegration and rebuilding process is often painstakingly slow because so many people hang on to the old structures. The ant would tell us, stay focused and don't be in a hurry, because the greatest success occurs with patience and persistence. Ants have long been the symbols of work and industry, and although they are often viewed as symbols of dullness and drudgery, which is the attitude I had until I really read all about them, ants actually engage in a wide range of social activities. They build, they gather, they hunt, and they grow gardens, not of vegetables, but gardens of fungus. The fungus they cultivate is nutrient rich, which gives their community a steady food supply and a measure of stability and security. I think there's a message there for us. Ants also participate in food exchanges within the community, making sure everyone is fed. A great deal of their work focuses on community building, another message, and the ants' encouragement is to focus on community this month. Ant also reminds us to use whatever self-discipline is needed to accomplish the tasks at hand. And it says, don't be putting things off and don't be looking for the quick and easy way. Ant tells us to continue building a good foundation for the future and to focus first on the important things. Don't leave those till last. It warns against making things more difficult than they need to be by overreacting. Ants are amazing architects who build complex homes with galleries and vaulted ceilings. And one of their basic messages is, become the architect of your own life and learn how to build, constructing your dreams into reality. Can I say that again? Ants are amazing architects who build complex homes with galleries and vaulted ceilings. And one of their basic messages is, become the architect of your own life and learn how to build, constructing your dreams into reality. Now, given the situation of collapse in many old structures and institutions, this is very timely and useful advice. They advise that we harness our self-discipline and recreate our circumstances from the ground up, knowing that success and true rewards will follow. Ant medicine is always working for the good of the whole group. with the attitude that we will receive that which we need at the time we need it most. That's just the way the world works. And warn us to scrutinize people, events, and situations carefully so we do not fall prey to those who are not working for the good of the whole community, for all of humanity. They are especially on alert for those who are users and con artists, and they will aggressively fight those who make greed a way of life. The ant teaches that harmony only comes when you align and trust natural law. So we have to realign here with trust and natural law. Ant also hands out the keys to the future. What are those keys? Patience, discipline, order, and industriousness. And they tell us that these keys will only work when we honor the will of the Great Spirit. So that's it for this tarot. Let's do a quick summary of what we've said with our 4 questions and 4 cards. So question number 1 was, what will be the long-term results of Doge and the efforts to cut waste in the U.S. government? The card drawn here was the Knight of Pentacles. Knights in general symbolize working for an ideal world in which there is very little waste. A very appropriate card to answer our question about Doge. This is a card of ripening and completion, of a return to order and justice, even though there might be delays and diversions. It says, we are ready to fight, but it warns against fighting for old biased beliefs that created the present situation in the first place. The red bridle indicates that a lot of passion and anger may need to be reined in as the corruption is revealed. But it says that hauling away the dung, which is referring to hauling away the garbage of the past, is absolutely necessary. This is a card of strong contrasts. Look at that brilliant yellow background and that black horse. So, the effects of Doge may reveal facts and activities that are a stark contrast to what people once believed and what the previous administrations wanted us to think. The Knight of Pentacles represents unwavering determination to build a new world and to use the dung, the lessons learned, to fertilize the ground of a new way of being. Question number 2 was, what are the American people facing in terms of events or situations coming up? And as pointed out, this was not a very good or clear question because it wasn't specific enough. But in spite of this, the card pulled, the 2 of Swords, was surprising and quite insightful. This is the card of peace of mind because a decision has been made. Wow. What are we facing? Peace of mind because a decision has been made? Ooh, wow. The blindfolded woman holding the swords symbolizes that we are now looking at things with the eyes of the heart rather than the eyes of the head. We have seen the delusions and lies, have sliced and diced the facts with the weapons of the intellect, and are using intuition to grasp the fact that reality is not a one-way street in which someone else gets to make all the decisions. We have decided we are not the victims of our circumstances. We have power. We have input. We know what we want. And we are not going to live as if we are miserable and weak, struggling under the thumb of the powerful and wicked. The decision is likely to be that we are ready to deal with the consequences of our decision. even though we can't see what those consequences will be. The Two of Swords says that for the moment, we have settled for a tense harmony as we remain detached and continue to work toward the world we want to live in. Very nice. Question number 3. If UFOs and extraterrestrials are acknowledged by the government and come out into the open, what will the people of Earth most need to know, hear, or do in order to be comfortable with ETs? And the card drawn here was the Six of Wands, a card of beauty, balance, victory, and harmony that points to something or some event holding a great opportunity to develop ourselves further. An opportunity to develop ourselves further. The message is that acknowledgement of UFOs and ETs would be a major success for the people of Earth. This card symbolizes a fertile situation for the higher self, and it promises a big impact on us and our consciousness. The card calls for people to come together around this issue, and it says a great deal of work would be necessary to integrate this knowledge into the lives and minds of the people of Earth. Some might be very glad the ETs are here. Some might come clamoring for help or to be saved. And some might not like the idea at all and would need time to adjust. We would need to maintain a practical stance that works to help coordinate benefits for all, including the ETs. And question number 4. What advice does the animal kingdom have for us in March? And the ant is the messenger for this month, and it has some excellent advice. The ant is the symbol of patience in knowing the victory will come. What is the victory? It is the ability and freedom to build communities of cooperation and success, lifestyles that turn our dreams into reality. Ooh. Ants are amazing architects, and their basic message is, become the architect of your own life and learn to build, constructing your dreams into reality. So each of us is encouraged to use whatever self-discipline is necessary to begin building a solid foundation for the future and to be patient as it takes shape and comes together. Ants are amazingly social critters who work for the good of the whole group. The ant warns us to scrutinize people, events, and situations carefully so we do not fall prey to those who are not working for the good of the whole of humanity. Ants teach that harmony only comes when you align with and trust natural law, and that the keys to the future are patience, discipline, order, and industriousness. But those keys only work when we are aligned with the Great Spirit. So that's it for this month. Thank you so much for watching and listening. In spite of the predictions of many astrologers who say March will be an especially intense and shocking, messy month, I thought the messages of the cards here were very encouraging, very positive, finally. So let's move ahead with confidence and steadiness. Happy March.